Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is June 7th, 2020, and you are now watching Real Talk with Ronnie. Here on our program, we only engage in real talk, real news, and in real time. So I want to start off by thanking you all for joining me tonight, and tonight we sure have a lot to cover. So as you know, on our program, we typically cover the top news stories of the week, but because of this week's special program, we will only cover the top news story that has happened this week. So this week, former Vice President Joe Biden has the distinct honor of no longer calling himself the presumptive nominee. The former vice president is now the Democratic presidential nominee after reaching the threshold of 1,991 pledged delegates that is needed to clinch his party's nomination, and he did so earlier this week. So if you do recall, former Vice President Joe Biden became the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee back in April after his last remaining rival for the nomination, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, suspended his campaign and backed Biden. Biden will now officially become the party's standard bearer when he's officially nominated in August at the Democratic National Convention. So as you know, in American politics, getting the nomination of a major party is the first major hurdle. Now that former Vice President Joe Biden has crossed that hurdle, his next big hurdle is taking on President Trump in November. Historically, the incumbent president has always won his re-election bid. So it will be interesting to see what happens this November. As you know, the United States is currently embroiled in a lot of racial tension and upheaval, with many cities in the U.S. still plagued by rioting and looting because of George Floyd's death. On top of that, COVID-19 has definitely played a detrimental role on the economy of the U.S., with unemployment rate very high and many people out of jobs. So these are two factors that may play in the favor of Vice President Joe Biden. We will see how he does. However, the former vice president is also known as a walking, talking gaffe machine, right? So he has made repeated gaffes throughout the campaign trail, and those gaffes have come back to bite him many times. So we will see if he will, between now and November, find some way to self-implode. We don't know. Also, he still has the lingering effects of the Tara Reade controversy hanging over his head. So we will see if all these factors combined will actually help him or hurt him when it comes to the general election in November. So this will indeed be a very exciting race to watch, as well as a very interesting one. It is also important to note that although the economy in the U.S. is not doing too well right now and the unemployment rate is currently temporarily high, this of course is caused due to COVID-19. Once the virus has receded, there is a big possibility that the economy will bounce back and people will get back to work. In fact, there are many people who are saying that there will be a surge in the U.S. economy. So when that happens, we will see if this will be a benefit for President Trump and a detriment to Joe Biden. So we shall see. Of course, in American politics, it's very unpredictable. So anything can still happen. And as they say in politics, a few months is like a lifetime, right? So right now it is June. We are still approximately 5 months away from the general election. So it is still a lifetime in politics. So anything can still happen from now until then. And if history has taught us anything, it is that the incumbent president will typically always win. It happened during President Bill Clinton, President Barack Obama, President George W. Bush. So in recent memory, the incumbent president has always won, with the exception of George H.W. Bush, the father of George W. Bush, who lost his re-election bid in 1992 to then Governor Bill Clinton. So as you can see from the most recent memory, from 1980 onwards, every president has always won their re-election bid, starting from President Ronald Reagan. That has always been the prevailing trend in American politics. So unless something extraordinary happens this time around, that should still be the pattern to follow. So now on to the main event. So as I stated before, tonight we have a jam-packed show, and because of our exclusive interview tonight, we have kept or shortened our top news countdown to only one news, right? And that was the news that I just stated about Vice President Joe Biden finally being the official nominee of the Democratic Party. So tonight, I'm very happy to present to you my interview with my good friend, Manu. Now, Dr. Emmanuel Martorana is from Germany. He has been living in Hangzhou for the past 3 years. So he currently lives in Hangzhou, but he works in Longyu, which is also in Zhejiang province. Dr. Martorana is the R&D director for Windbone Scholler New Materials Company, which is a Chinese-German joint venture paper company. Now, what makes this interview so exclusive and so special and so exciting is the fact that Manu is part of the second charter flight to come back to China from Germany. Manu arrived in China a few days ago, and he is currently in self-quarantine for 14 days in a hotel in Longyu. And as we know, according to current Chinese policy, foreigners are not allowed to come back into China regardless of their visa or resident permit status, right? The only foreigners who are currently allowed to come back into China are those who work for companies in a high position and most importantly have received an invitation letter. Dr. Martorana, or as I call him Manu, is one of those individuals who was able to receive an invitation letter from the Chinese government inviting him back into China. That precisely is why tonight's show is so interesting, because we will get a first-hand account on what he had to go through, coming into China, the entire process, the screening, the testing, and currently the quarantining. My interview with Manu is far-reaching and covers a wide variety of topics, and we are very happy to present it to you in its entirety. So without further ado, I now present to you my exclusive interview with Dr. Martorana. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. So today we have a very special guest. So I want to welcome my special guest today, my good friend Manu. So welcome to the show today. So Manu, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Ronnie. Hi to everybody. My name is Manu. I'm 39 years old, and I've been living and working in China for the last 3 years. I've worked in Germany for a paper-making company, and 3 years ago, our German company decided to build a joint venture here in China, in a very tiny city called Longyu. Most of the people might not know it, but it's like 1 hour by high-speed train from Hangzhou, where I live. And since 3 years, I'm working there in research and development as an R&D director, trying to develop new products or bringing products over that we produced in Germany. Yeah, and of course, due to the crisis, I was not able to come back for quite a while. So,
right.
Now
Great.
Things changed.
Okay, so Manu, you're actually a doctor, you're a PhD, and as you said before, you are the R&D director of Windbone Scholler New Materials Company, right? And I believe there is a Chinese name for that company. If you could tell our audience what the Chinese name is, that would be great.
I can try. I don't know if my pronunciation is very good, but the Chinese name is Huabang. So Huabang means Windbone from Chinese, and Gulou I think means old tower or ancient tower. That's basically the company sign from our factory. We have a old tower, which is a windmill in our manufacturer logo, basically. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I think your pronunciation was actually pretty good, so don't worry. Okay, so Manu, we have a lot to talk about with you today, because you're actually you were part of the second chartered flight from Germany back into China, correct? So
right, yeah.
Yeah, so prior to this flight, you were actually in Germany for how long? For 2 to 3 months?
Basically, when the crisis started, I flew to the Philippines in January, but then I didn't come back to China. So I went back to Germany, and I was there, yeah, something like 3 months or even more, almost, yeah,
Okay.
3.5 months, something like this.
Okay. So when the crisis
Um,
first started, you flew to Philippines for like vacation, right?
right, I flew to Philippines. I was supposed to stay there for 1 week for Chinese New Year holidays. A lot of other Chinese
Right.
people too. But then the crisis, yeah, became bigger and bigger, and I wasn't able to fly back to China. And then I stayed for another week, almost, yeah, something like 3 weeks.
Okay. So
Then
your
I decided to go back to Germany.
okay, so your initial plan was to only go to Philippines for Chinese New Year to stay there for 1 week, but you kept on getting pushed back. So this vacation got longer and longer, and it became like this never-ending vacation, right? So then you were at the end you were in Philippines for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
was not a bad place to
yeah,
stay during the outbreak.
right.
So it was nice, and it was a good time. But after 3 weeks living out of a hand luggage, I decided
Right.
I need to go back home.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure after that 3 weeks, you developed a pretty good tan, right?
Yes, still, yeah, I tried to keep it. Also in Germany, the weather was nice during the crisis. We were allowed also to go out. I kept a little bit of
Okay, great.
dark skin. Yeah.
Okay, and you look, great now too. So, okay, so my name is
Yeah.
okay. So, can you give us a little rundown on what you were doing or what you did in Germany for those 3, 4 months?
Basically, in Germany, I stayed with my parents for the whole time. Um, I said in Germany, the lockdown was not like really hard, so I could still go out, however, not meet any friends or something. So I was still allowed to go out for running. I think you could meet one other person or go out with people from your household, which were living together. But yeah, of course, social life was yeah, quite little in that time. So I basically stayed at home. I gave some lectures at university also during that time,
Right,
online lectures, of course. I had some lectures myself, some online courses, so I
right.
used the time to study a little bit.
Okay.
Worked as good as I could, some conference calls. So
Mm-hmm.
it was not boring, but of course, after 3 months at home, staying with your parents, not because of my parents, but because
Right,
of the lack of private life,
right.
I'm also now happy that I could go on and fly to China.
Okay. And just for the record, what classes do you lecture, or what
Basically,
topics?
I'm a paper engineering guy, so I give classes in paper chemistry or
Okay.
also specialty paper, so different kind of paper products that are produced also from our company in China. So it's for a master program, paper technology at Munich University.
Okay.
It's a very
Perfect.
special field.
Right.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah, it's a very special field. I mean,
China, it's more famous even than in Germany. So in China, you have a lot of universities teaching paper technology, and we also have a lot of students these courses joining our company. Um,
okay.
Germany basically only have two universities where you can
Right.
study it, or three.
Okay, so now this is the exciting part. So, at what point were you notified that you can come back into China?
It was a quite long procedure. I think the first notification, or yeah, that the German Chamber of Commerce is working on this kind of procedure, came something like 4 weeks ago,
Okay.
4 to 5 weeks ago. Still with a lot of things you need to do, a lot of administrative things to apply for the visa, also
Right.
the corona tests. We maybe
Okay.
talk about this later.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay. So I think the best way to go through this is through a chronological point of view, right? So we're going to show a series of photos, the photos that you have sent me, right? So the first photo that we will talk about is the invitation letter. So can you give us a rundown on how the whole process went? So you have this invitation letter, right? And we're looking at it right now. So this invitation letter was sent to you from the Chinese government, right? It was sent to your company.
yeah. So it basically, as you might know all of the visas and also residence permits are not valid anymore since this was decided by the Chinese government. So you basically need to apply for a completely new visa. It was like when I came first time to
Right.
China, I need to apply for a new working visa, and for this, not everybody, I think, can do this. You need a special invitation. This invitation is called PU letter from the Chinese government, and without this letter, you cannot apply for the visa. So that's really necessary.
So basically, as we know, the Chinese government has, disallowed visas from all foreigners, right? And the only ones that can come in are the ones that are given this invitation letter, and especially if you work in a company and you're a high-level, senior person, correct?
I think when you are a high talent or a manager of a company, you have better chances. Or if we also got this invitation letter for the wife, for example,
Okay.
of my boss. So of course, if you are related to a person and then you come together. But I think for normal tourists at the moment, it's still very difficult. And what I heard, even for some Chinese people that are overseas, it's not so easy. You also need to find a flight first before getting the visa, or at least parallel. So you need to find a flight. Not a lot of flights are taking this. So this was also a very special flight I came with, not a regular flight.
Right. This was a chartered flight, right?
This was a chartered flight, yeah.
Okay. So on this flight, it was it was it was only German people, right?
Basically German people or people that were working for German companies. Of course, there were also some people, other European countries, but basically it was a lot of Germans. Even some Chinese were on the flight. So I think they also used this flight maybe to bring some people from China back, at least a few. Family, I saw some people, Chinese people with their families on board.
Right. Okay. So, but like the cost of the flight and for everything else, that is borne by your company, correct?
Yes, the cost of the flight was borne by my company, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now let's look at a few of these photos. So this first photo that I'm looking at right now, this is, I believe this is a photo of you while you were on the train in Germany going to the airport, right?
Yeah. Yeah, basically in Germany you also need to wear protective
Right.
gear, especially in public transport. I think you don't need to wear it when you are outside, because there the risk is lower, but inside closed rooms, shops, and in the train,
Right.
you need to
Okay.
dress up.
Yeah. And then the second photo I'm looking at right here, which is this one, right?
Yeah.
Can you? So this is a picture of your meal while in
Yeah, it was
Germany.
basically my last meal before I boarded the plane, and I found a Chinese restaurant at the airport in Frankfurt, and
Okay.
I decided now after 3 months of Italian food, it's good to start getting reused to Chinese food.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So on your last meal in Germany, you decided to have some Chinese food before you came to China.
exactly, yeah,
Okay. To reacclimate yourself to Chinese food, of course, right?
exactly. It was also a little bit spicy.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
then this next photo that we're looking at right now, th-
Yeah,
this photo, I believe, is you getting your temperature tested, right? In Germany still, correct?
yeah. In Germany at the airport, we need to do a corona test, but also temperature checks before we board the plane. So that was necessary to get allowance to board the plane. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just curious. So in Germany, do you need to get your temperature checked wherever you go, whenever you go to a public area or a public place?
Not
No?
necessarily. I think some places they have this kind of temperature checks, maybe in more critical situation or where there are a lot of people. But normally, what I've experienced in the last 3 months, it's not very often that your temperature is checked.
Okay. So that last photo that we showed, that was you still in Germany, about to board the plane, correct? And now this photo right here, the next photo after that, this is this is while you were on the plane, right?
Right. I'm on the plane. Well, basically when we landed in Shanghai. So
Okay. So this is okay. So this is when you were on the plane, and then you landed. So this is the first photo of that you took of when you landed in Shanghai, correct?
Yeah, so they come in with the customs people, health security people who are dressed up in their protective clothes. They ask always, I think, five passengers. They take a name list. Five passengers need to come in front, and they need to give them the health declaration, which you need to fill out during the flight. They check about the temperature recordings that have been done during the flight, because during the flight they check your temperature, I think, 2 or 3 times. They even wake you up in the night,
Oh,
and then
really?
they need to write the temperature on your boarding pass. Only if it's 3 times below the 37.3 or something. So
Okay.
if the also only if the corona test is negative, you're also only allowed to board the plane. Otherwise, you need to stay in Germany, basically.
Okay. So let's try to get this clear. Okay. So before you are allowed to even board the plane in Germany to come to China, you needed to get a coronavirus test, correct?
But yeah,
Okay, so only after that test has come back negative for coronavirus can you then board the plane. And
right.
and how long does it take for that test to come out with the result?
I think it takes something like six to 8 hours. So
Okay,
we were asked to come to the airport one night before, and
okay,
then I did the corona test in the morning, 8 p.m. in the morning, and before we boarded, something like 6 p.m. In the afternoon, we got the results 2 hours before the plane actually started.
okay.
Um,
So to the best of your knowledge, was anyone denied boarding? Did anyone's test come back positive, basically?
No, from those people, I think everybody was negative.
Okay,
I think on the first flight that took place 1 week earlier
right.
to another city, I think there was one person was positive, but he was only positive in China and not back in
Oh,
Germany.
really?
So
Oh,
only the
okay.
second test was positive.
Okay. Oh, so you're talking about the first chartered flight from Germany to China. There was a passenger who tested positive for the coronavirus, but only after he got to China.
So the first test was negative, and
Right.
then the second test was. I think it was Tianjin, the city where also organized by the German Chamber of Commerce, and this test was first negative and then positive.
Okay.
That's
Okay. So then for him, or for that person, I guess the procedure he has to go through next is probably quite cumbersome, right?
I think he will not be sent back to Germany, but I think in Shanghai then, or the other city where he landed, he will be needs to go to hospital, and then he
Right.
will be observed. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so now we're at the point where, okay, so now you've landed in Shanghai, right? And the next few photos are photos of you at the Shanghai airport, right? So once you got to Shanghai, what was the procedure then?
when we arrived in Shanghai airport, this health officers boarded the plane and checked every passenger's details, and always five passengers were asked to leave plane. So we need to fill in this health declaration, and then we were also asked to do a second COVID-19 test at the Shanghai airport. So
Okay,
basically, all the people at Shanghai airport were also dressed up with protective gearing in the beginning when they enter the plane to the people in the luggage claim area. Yeah.
right.
Um,
Okay, so this photo right here, this is a photo of you with the vial of the testing, with the testing vial kit. That was in Shanghai or in Germany?
this was already the second test. This was in Shanghai
Okay.
airport.
Okay, so here
Actually,
I
it was cool.
okay, so in Shanghai Airport, they give you this vial and basically the kit that you need, and then you bring this to an area where they do the testing, correct?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay,
Had like 6 or 7 different stations. It was quite good organized, actually. The first station you get your health documents. The second station you need to show your passport. The third station you get this vial and the number on the vial. The fourth one you do the testing. So the procedure was not much longer than normal immigration, just a lot of more
right,
strict, of course.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that this whole procedure was probably quicker than what it would normally take, right? Because here they're only dealing with one plane full of passengers, right? As opposed to, you know, 10 planes, right? So I guess this would
Yeah,
actually be faster. And then this photo right here is, of course, you with some of the airport staff, right?
right. That was when we did of the procedure in the airport, and then we went to the luggage claim area,
Okay.
and there I took a last picture with the people that have to wear this actually the
Right.
whole day. It's quite they are quite strict, but I think they also want to make sure that
Right.
no virus gets back to the country imported from overseas.
Yeah, my guess is probably better safe than sorry, right?
Right.
And okay, so these people at the baggage check, okay, so were you allowed to carry your own bags or did they help you? Or, how was that like?
Mhm. Well, basically, I carried my own bags.
Okay.
They didn't, but when there were some people also with children, there was a mother traveling with her little child, and of course they also helped her. Yeah,
Okay. And then this next photo right here is of the bus. I guess it's the shuttle bus, right? The shuttle bus from the airport in Shanghai, Pudong Airport, to the quarantine hotel in Shanghai, correct?
right.
Okay.
So basically, the procedure with this, it's called, I think, closed loop procedure, that you don't get in contact with any person from from China or might infect any person. They really take care, and they have this closed loop procedure where they transfer you to the first quarantine hotel in Shanghai.
Okay. So
Mm,
they transfer you to the first quarantine hotel in Shanghai and you have to stay there while they await the results from the second testing, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So they're waiting from the testing result from the airport, and they're also doing actually another test. They take your blood and will do an antibody test. So they will also check if you have been infected with the virus before you have been, basically in your home
Right.
country.
Okay, so then now you're on the shuttle bus and they take you to the quarantine hotel in Shanghai. And how long did it take for the result to come out of the second testing?
I think we arrived during, uh, the thing came out in the evening. We arrived around lunchtime in Shanghai airport.
Okay.
The testing came out in the evening, and I think the official result the next morning. And then the next morning, we were notified that we can basically continue to our next nation.
Okay. And and I realized this is a question I forgot to ask you. So when did you actually arrive in Shanghai or in China?
I basically arrived the 4th of June.
Okay, so June 4th. Okay, so basically the result from the second testing came back around 6 p.m., right?
Something like this. There was the first, let's say, unofficial notice from our HR management.
Okay.
So, of course, in contact, your HR needs to be involved in this whole
Right.
process. There we got the notification that nobody from the flight is positive. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next photo I'm showing here, this is, I guess, a member of the hotel staff bringing your luggage or helping you with your luggage up to your room in the Shanghai quarantine hotel, right?
But yeah,
And then
I
this,
did. I didn't ask for it, but
right,
they just offered some help,
right.
and then I had time to take the picture.
Okay, cool. And then this next photo, this bag of goodies, this bag of goodies was left in your hotel from the German Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was very nice gift from the Chamber of Commerce. There's a goodie bag with all the stuff inside, like sweets or muesli or milk, this kind of things. So as you don't like the Chinese food so much, at least the first days you can survive still with German
Okay.
food.
All right, great. And I guess now at this point we can show a little clip from the German Chamber of Commerce that you have sent me, and we can maybe play that for our viewers. Okay, so let's let them watch that clip.
Dear passenger of our second charter flight, welcome to Shanghai. We are so happy that you arrived here today. Thank you so much also for your patience and endurance over the last few weeks and also going forward. And we are all looking forward to seeing you very soon in person here at the German Chamber of Commerce. See you! See you!
That was a little mini clip from the German Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so that was very nice of them, right? It made you feel like, that you had someone that was welcoming you back into China, right?
Right, yeah, it seems like we also had a lot of privileges, so they had contact to the hotel staff in case something was missing. I think even some people were allowed for food delivery, so then you make any food delivery to the reception and then they bring it up to the room. You have people speaking your own language that take care of you, so it was a very well organized by the German Chamber of Commerce, and I'm very happy that they supported all this.
Okay, great. And of course, this photo right here, this is of you at the first hotel, at the Shanghai hotel, with your colleague, right? With your boss?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were traveling with two people. Initially, we thought we would be five. Two of our or three of our other people, they couldn't get a longer visa than just 1 month, and to come just for 1 month doesn't make so much sense when you need to stay 2 weeks in quarantine.
Right.
But we both have a Chinese working contract, and we got this kind of visa, which is then also linked to a residence permit. Basically, this visa now is valid for 1 month, and we need to extend it to a year or 2 years residence permit.
Okay.
And then this picture was taken when we were allowed to leave the first quarantine hotel after the results were all negative.
Okay.
We were allowed to leave the hotel and up by the government, basically from the area where we are working, where our factory is.
Okay. So once you got the okay to leave, or rather once you got the result back saying that you were negative, right, for the second testing, then you were allowed to leave the next morning, right? So the next morning, you were on another shuttle bus, right, on your way to Longyu from Shanghai. And that ride took how long?
The ride was actually 5 to 6 hours.
Okay.
Was quite long, and we had to wait a little bit longer because the Longyu people were already there at noon, but then there was some kind of procedure, I think, which was not really clear. But then I think at 4 or 5 in the afternoon we could start, and then the bus ride was 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Luckily, we were allowed to stop at the toilet for one time in between.
Right.
Because in the initial document it said we were not allowed to stop because they want that you don't have contact with other people. But luckily we were allowed to stop at least one time to go to.
Right, because I guess once you stop at a rest area, then it's no longer a closed loop, right?
Yeah, so they also needed to have another security guy then coming with us, and again also disinfecting all the areas where we have been. It's quite strict, but that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I almost forgot to ask you. So I believe you mentioned that the quarantine hotel that you stayed at in Shanghai, that entire hotel was reserved only for foreigners, right?
I think in Shanghai, basically, was because the flight was carrying around 200 people or something like this. It was mainly reserved for foreigners, the first hotel, yeah.
Okay, great. So now we're still on the part where you are on your bus ride or on your shuttle ride from Shanghai to Longyu. So 5-6 hours later on this shuttle ride, you arrive in Longyu. And I believe you said that the driver of that shuttle also has to be quarantined for 14 days too, right?
Yeah, I asked him today again because it's a HR person of our company.
Oh, really? Okay.
He said he doesn't need to be quarantined for 14 days, just for 1 week, so just 7 days.
Okay. And while he was driving, did he have to wear like a lot of protective gear, or?
He also the drivers, and actually the bus was closed, so I couldn't go normally to the drivers and talk to them. The bus they put some kind of barrier in the bus in between, but we were really isolated during this closed loop transfer.
Wow, so I kind of feel bad for the workers, right? So they have to wear this protective gear, and right now we're in the midst of summer, right? It's very hot in China. So it must be quite stuffy in those suits, right?
It's crazy. Also, all the people at the airport. I think I saw two or more than 100 people wearing this,
Right.
and then some people have a break, and then other people join. So it's a really tough for these people to. For me, only to wear the mask for
Right, yeah.
a few hours is already tough, but they need to wear this whole suit. It's
Right.
really.
Yeah, no, I mean it's really it's applaudable, right? Because I mean all I have to do is like wear like a little face mask, and sometimes when I go out, I might feel like I'm suffocating, right? Because it's just too stuffy. So I can't even imagine what they have to go through. They have to wear like a whole bodysuit.
It's really really tough, I guess.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so
don't know how long they want to continue with this procedure, if they just do it now for the first passengers to really make sure,
right.
because I think it will be very difficult to continue this really for a long time and for a lot of passengers, because it's a lot of effort also, of
Yeah, it's a
course.
lot of effort, it's a lot of resources, and I must imagine that it's like a lot of money too, right? That you have to pay a lot of overtime staff to get this stuff done. Okay, so now you've arrived in Longyu, right? And you are currently at the quarantine hotel in Longyu.
Yeah.
Okay, and how is everything there?
Everything is good basically. You can see in the background, you can see
Right.
the room where I have my own room. I also got another little lunch packet from my HR
Okay.
staff, which are also taking care about me. So with some fresh fruit and this kind of things. You also get a meal 3 times per day,
Okay. Okay, and
which is Chinese.
yeah, so this photo that I'm showing you right now, this is a photo of the food setup that they gave to you, or that you currently have in your
Right.
Longyu hotel, right?
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty nice. And then I believe you were saying that every day they deliver meals for you, right? So 3 times each day. And I believe this next photo that I'm showing here is a photo of the, I guess the Waimai guy or the hotel staff that's delivering food.
this case, it was the hotel staff. Yeah, they
Okay.
bring the food to you 3 times per day, in the morning for lunch and for dinner. They leave it on the floor basically,
Okay.
and then you can open the door and pick it up. Yeah.
How was the food, by the way? Is it tasty?
It was good. So anyway, I work in Longyo, so I'm used to also canteen food from the
Oh, right.
company, and it's rice and vegetables.
Hmm.
And now I've decided to skip the breakfast because I have enough German breakfast with me, like
Okay.
oatmeal and milk, which I can use up. And then I have just now from now on ordered lunch and dinner basically.
Okay. So the German breakfast that you have, is that the food that the German Chamber of Commerce left for you in Shanghai?
It's they left it there. The muesli. I also bring a little stuff also from Germany
Okay.
with me, but now I guess I have enough almost uh, weeks German breakfast.
Okay. Well, what if you needed more? If you needed more, can you call up the German Chamber of Commerce and be like, hey, can you send me some more?
Yeah, I don't know if the German Chamber of Commerce now is in Shanghai, so it would be quite far to Longyo. But I heard from our HR people that you could order Waimai,
Right.
then they bring the Waimai to reception.
Oh, great.
They will deliver it at the same time you would get their lunch or dinner. They will not come up for a specific time because
Oh,
then
okay.
they would need to change their protective clothing again. It's
Right.
really big, so they only come up 3 times per day, and then you can also order some other things if you need some water or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, we are talking right now on the first day of your 14-day quarantine, or of your 13-day quarantine in Longyu, right? And right now, this next photo that I'm showing is of your exercise regimen that you plan on using, right, for the next 13 days.
Yeah, I'm planning. Yeah, of course. I'm thinking a little bit in Germany what I should do for these 14 days, and exercise, of course, is
Okay.
one thing. Exercise, and the internet connection is also quite fast in the hotel, so I can normally work, and everything is fine.
So aside from the resistance band, how else do you plan on working out? Just maybe through push-ups or?
Yeah, maybe something like push-ups or squats or whatever. I will think about it, or just yeah, sit-ups, something like
Right.
this.
Okay,
But
and
with this,
yeah, because just to be clear, you are not allowed to leave your room, right? So even if there is a hotel gym, you cannot use it, correct?
I'm not allowed to leave the room.
Okay.
Only open the door when
Yeah.
they
Yeah, and of
put some
course,
food outside.
this is your first day there, so you're not even so you don't know yet if the housekeeping can come and clean your room, right?
I don't know yet, right?
Right.
I might ask our HR or the hotel staff later if because if they come in here, of course they would also need to wear this protective
Right.
suit and clean everything. But they put a lot of stuff also in the room, which seems to be for longer time, like the shampoo or the body wash. It's all bigger, and
Oh,
the
okay.
toothpaste. It's all bigger amounts, not only for one day. It seems to be for the whole 2 weeks already.
Right. Oh, one question that I wanted to ask you. So, what about for like water? I mean, do they do like daily like, water delivery or what?
Not for actually for the Chinese people that are here in quarantine, but we ordered some yesterday, also here
Yeah.
with me. So I got now almost, I think, something like, yeah, 20 bottles of this water.
Oh, so
Um,
so they left like 20 bottles of water in your room. Okay.
right, and I heard the Chinese people, they would just use the tap water, cook it,
Uh-huh. Right.
and then drink it. So you have, of course, tap water here, and you have this kind of cooking unit for your water to
Right.
make also coffee, and then you can also drink this kind of hot water.
Okay, great. So right now, are you required to, work from your hotel room for your job during the next, 13 days?
Basically, I have some meetings also going on. Because everybody knows that I'm in quarantine and also with the time difference.
Right.
But I will try to normally work. I'm available by WeChat, by phone, by
Right.
friends calls, whatever.
Okay. So you're basically doing everything that you would be doing if you were in the office, but you're in a hotel room now.
Or less, yes, yeah,
Okay. All
right.
right. Well, I guess that's, my guess is good that you have to work, so you get to keep busy and not be stir crazy while being stuck in a single room for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think I got used to stay 3 months at home and what to do during these times. Good internet connection and can work out a little bit, and it's not a big deal, I think.
Okay, great. Okay, so Manu, do you have any tips or advice you'd like to share with people who are in your similar, sort of situation, who are, stuck in quarantine?
At the moment, there are not so many people stuck in quarantine like me because we are one of the first. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, for
basically,
future people, for the future, Germans or foreigners who come to China who have to, stay in quarantine, do you have any words of wisdom?
yeah, of course, it's good to prepare a little bit for the quarantine, like to think about what you want to do this 14 days. So also, if you are a reader, bring some books or yeah, try to do something uh, what makes sense. So maybe even an online course or whatever. So I can. My VPNs are working, so I can also. I have YouTube. I could even also give lectures from here,
Right, yeah.
and yeah. Uh, so and course, also you should not expect that is everything is luxury. You are not in a five-star hotel, of course.
Right.
Also, so you cannot expect like all the services you are used to from a hotel. You should be modest, basically, and uh, because it's also a lot of work for these people here. Every time
Yeah.
they need to come up to your room, they need to change their clothing and this kind of thing. So I. Um, just recommend to think about before what you need, and then you can say it one time in the first day, and then basically they bring everything in the first day. Like I ordered also today a bowl for my oatmeal, a fruit knife, and
Right.
I made a little list. So now they don't need to come like every day.
Okay, great. Okay, so Manu, you must be well. So On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you now to be back in China?
I would say something like 8. So
Okay.
I'm very happy to be back. Also to yeah, the outlook that in 14 days I will be basically, and the situation here in China is even better than in Germany. Of course, the 14 days now here, there are nicer things, but I also would say it's not so bad. I'm I was happy also in Germany when I knew I was coming to China, because after 3 months home it gets tough, and
Right.
yeah, basically they do everything they can to make you as comfortable as possible. Of course, rules from the government are strict and they need to follow those. Somehow it's also understandable. So I think it could be worse. So
Right, yeah.
I'm quite happy actually.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be worse. And I mean, from the photos and from what I've heard, it seems like the government is taking a lot of caution, right, in terms of dealing with people who are coming in from different countries. And maybe this might seem a bit of overkill, but I guess it's necessary, right? It's probably, and it's like I said, it's probably better safe than sorry.
Right, yeah, I think so too. Of course, now we know also a lot about the virus. Normally, it's difficult to get infected when you walk outside with the fresh air or something.
Right.
But still, it's better to be a little bit more on the safe side.
Yeah.
Also, in Germany, there's a big discussion about this. Some people want it more safe. Some people want less safe, but more freedom. So you can find arguments for both.
Yeah. Definitely. And Manu, so upon coming to China, you've had to do a test in Germany to confirm whether you can come to China. Once you arrived in Shanghai, you had to do a second test in order to move on to your current city, right? So, do you have to do a third test at the end of your quarantine?
Actually, I had to do a third test already this morning.
Oh, really?
So this was the first of the second quarantine hotel.
Okay.
It was in total the third test, and I heard I have to do a fourth one when I leave the 2 weeks, 1 or 2 days before I leave the
Okay.
hotel. I have to do a fourth one.
Okay, so you have to do another one right before you leave. Okay.
It's 4 corona tests in total, and
Right.
we have to do 2 antibody tests.
Oh my
So
gosh.
2 times they take your blood, and 4 times they just take something from the back part of
Okay.
your throat, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a lot of testing.
I actually had to do a coronavirus test too yesterday because I also teach at university and they were testing all the staff on Friday. So yeah, they took a swab and took something from the back of my throat. I mean, when I first was waiting online to do it, I was pretty nervous because I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I mean, I heard that they used the swab to take something from the back of your neck or from the back of your throat, but I wasn't sure how far they were going to stick it down, right? And I thought that maybe I would choke or gag, but it was actually pretty simple, right? It took like 2 seconds. And then for us, they also had to do a blood test. I'm not sure if that was the antibody test or if that was also part of the the COVID-19 testing. Um, do you know?
I think the blood test is to check your antibodies.
Okay.
Sometimes they call it nucleic test or whatever, but I think in the blood they check your antibodies, and the virus they just need to
Right.
check it in your mouth or in your throat.
Right.
Blood test they use it for antibody detection.
Okay. So they haven't told me what my results are, so I hope they're okay.
I think normally I also hear only something when I ask them, and
Right.
normally when you don't hear anything, it's a good sign. So you
Okay.
should be negative.
Okay, so no news is good news, right?
But yeah,
So do you plan on hearing the results from the test that you took today? I mean, are they going to tell you or you don't know?
I will ask about it.
Right.
Maybe we also have a WeChat group in this quarantine hotel. It's all in Chinese, but basically sometimes you see some results of other people, and I think tomorrow maybe our results will come up there in the group.
Okay. You mentioned before the interview started that in the Shanghai quarantine hotel where you stayed at, there was a WeChat group, right, for all the people that were staying there?
Even here in Longyu, we have a WeChat
Right,
group.
and here you also have a group. So
Here it's smaller.
right. Well, here in the Longyu group, there's only like 3 of you, right?
I'm not so for sure. My boss is in the hotel,
Right.
but I see also a lot of other people in the group.
Right.
And I don't know how many of these people are quarantined here and how many is just staff working here. Seems
Okay.
that at least also 1 or 2 other people are also more to our company's people are quarantined here.
Okay. And what kind of stuff do you guys talk about in the quarantine group chat?
Basically, that's the stuff that is working at reception. So they also need to wear this protective thing. And if you have some problems or so, you can write it into this group.
Oh, okay.
And they try to fix your. So.
Oh, okay.
Also
Wait.
the whole.
Okay. So the quarantine group chat, it consists of whoever's staying at the hotel and the reception people, right? So it's basically an easy way for you to talk to reception.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
of
perfect.
course I could also call them, but as they speak only. It's a little bit difficult. So with WeChat, you can basically use the translating function.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So I guess that makes sense because the city where you're at right now is not a particularly big city, right? So
It's very small, yeah.
Right. So most of the Chinese there probably don't know how to speak English, right? So I guess if there's a WeChat group, they can always press the translate function, and then there you go.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And so Longyu is in Zhejiang province?
Longyu is in Zhejiang province, yeah.
Okay.
It's 1 hour by high-speed train. It's in between Jinhua and Zhou. So the city that even Chinese people sometimes don't know. If I say to them I work in Longyu,
Right.
they also know the city. It's very, very small. It's much less than 1 million people.
Okay.
living
So
here.
you're not that far away, but far enough where it kind of seems like a different, area, right?
Yeah, right. It's more outside of the big cities, of course, and also this is a kind of industry park for paper factories.
Okay.
There's also not a lot of foreigners here. Basically, only the ones that work for our company and maybe some other international companies, but not so many.
Okay. Well, I guess we will, if it's possible, we will check in with you again towards the end of your quarantine to see if you're still sane.
Why not? We can
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, maybe in almost 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, because I know you've
Maybe.
got nowhere to go, and I know where to find you. So I mean, but plus, I think it would be interesting to see how you've dealt with this quarantine, and what kind of insight you can give us towards the end of your 14-day period.
Oh yeah, maybe I will have more muscles by then with all the exercise I want to do. But let's see. Maybe
Yeah.
I think I will not lose weight for sure because all the cookies and sweeties that I got from all the different people, it's more than enough for 2 weeks.
Okay. Oh, and one more thing. So I do know that you travel between Longyu and Hangzhou, right? So
Right, yeah.
when you come back to Hangzhou, because I know you keep a place of residence in Hangzhou too, if you come back to Hangzhou, will you have to get tested once more?
No yet. So I know
Okay.
that Hangzhou also for every city, like here in Longyu, belonging to Chuzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, every city you have this QR codes, these health codes, which can
Right.
turn either red, green, yellow. And I did not think about this yet, but I will. Now I have enough time to do it. I hope I don't need to go to all this procedure, of course, again in
Right.
Hangzhou. That after this 14 days, I'm good to go because then I would also like to leave for the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So you currently have your green QR code for Hangzhou already?
Not yet. It was red when I left. I need to check it. What's
Okay.
what's the color now?
Is there a QR code that you have to get for your current city for Longyu?
Just knocked on the door. I don't know. Maybe that's the doctor.
Okay.
Can
You
I
just gotta
just
knock on the door. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure.
let me just
Okay,
have
okay.
a look?
Okay.
So, this was the 2 times per day we get our temperature checked.
Oh, okay. So you just had your temperature checked again. Okay.
It was 1 time in the morning together with the blood test, and now they check the temperature again. Every time they knock on the door, you need to the mask basically.
Okay. Okay, so you get your temperature checked once in the morning and once in the late afternoon?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so what
I didn't know that they check it also in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I was not prepared that it happened during the interview now.
What time in the morning do they check your temperature?
This morning they came around 8:30.
Oh wow, so you don't really have a chance to sleep in, huh?
Basically, I go to bed also early here.
Okay.
There's no much.
Right, there's
going
not
out
much
or
that you can do.
partying.
Right. Okay, all right. Well, Manu, I want to thank you once again for joining us and for giving us a little bit of insight and spending some time with us on the whole process. I'm sure a lot of viewers, especially ones that are looking to come back into China, especially from Germany or from other countries, they would be very interested to watch this interview and to learn from your experience. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm also getting a lot of requests from friends how everything happened and how everything works. So maybe later I just send them
Yeah.
interview with we did. So then that's a good explanation for them as well.
There you go. Yeah, you can always send them the link to this video, or you can just tell them to watch my show on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Beijing time, okay? All right, so Manu, I hope you can join us live tomorrow if you got nothing to do. I'm sure a lot of people might have some questions, so if you have some time, maybe you can join us live tomorrow. All right? Okay, Manu, so is there anything else you'd like to add at this point to anyone out there? To your family, to your friends, to anyone else?
Well, of course, best regards to my family in case they see me. Also to my friends, I'm fine. So all the people take a lot of care for me. Thank you to people who's made this trip possible, to the German Chamber of Commerce, to our HR department, Nikki, Tina, for the gift bag here in Longyu, to all the Longyu staff people, the drivers. Of course, it's a strict procedure, but nothing is missing basically. I'm happy I have everything I need, and everybody is taking good care of me. So I would like to thank everybody, and also thank you for the possibility to join this interview.
Okay, thank you, Manu. And once again, we will try to check in on you towards the end of your quarantine. And when you are finally out of quarantine and you're all good to go, when you're back in Hangzhou, let me know, okay? We are due a catch-up, okay?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Manu.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
See you,
Yep.
Ronnie, bye.
Okay,
See
bye-bye,
you.
and take care. Bye-bye.
See you.
So that was my full exclusive interview with Dr. Martirana. As you can tell, it was a far-ranging interview. We covered many, many topics, and we are very grateful that Manu has given us the time to, talk with him, right? So we now have a better understanding of what the process is for foreigners who want to come back into China, especially if you are a high-talent foreigner and you have a high position in a company, the processes that you have to go through. So we learned that the first important step, the most important step in this whole thing is that you need an invitation letter from the government, and you usually get that, not usually, but you have to get that from your company. The company has to get it for you in order for this whole process to even begin. And as we saw from our interview, Manu had to take many, many tests, right? Many COVID tests and many blood tests in order to ensure that he was nice and healthy. So once again, I just want to thank my good friend Manu for giving us the time, for sitting down with us and giving us a little bit of insight on what he had to go through. That concludes our show for tonight. I want to thank you once again for joining me. And once again, if you think you would be the subject of an interesting interview, or if you have a fascinating story you'd like to share, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for watching Real Talk with Ronnie, where we cover real talk, real news in real time. Until we meet again, I want to wish you all a very, very happy week, a very safe week. Keep safe from COVID-19. Make sure that your family and friends stay safe. Good night, good luck, and God bless you. Bye-bye.